Hi, so Modular Meets Leeds with Chris Carter, Throwing Gristle, just performed on a load of new modules. Before we get into the modules, and we've got Finlay and Roy here that are involved, I'd just like to quickly talk about getting so much in terms of the performance out of so little. Could you run us through the rig, just a quick idea of what was going on?
Yeah, I have a couple of radio music thing modules here with just a couple of samples on each, and this one has a drum loop, a couple of drum loops, and this one has a couple of loops, rhythmic loops. Then I have these preamps that we have, Gristleizer preamps, that also have a VCA built into them. I have those sample modules going into these preamps.
We could hear a lot of kind of grit being added in. That I'm guessing
That's
was
on
where
the
that came
preamps,
from.
yeah. They've got this bite control, and they've got regular tone controls as well, and they have an envelope output, and then the envelope was triggering some of the filter effects. And so these are oscillators that can be LFOs or just regular oscillators. And then these LFOs were driving this filter, which is a VCF and a VCA. But this is a very distinctive sounding filter. It's more like a bandpass, high-pass filter. And that's that very distinctive Gristleizer
that's the
filter sound that everyone knows, yeah. And then I had just a disting adding some echo. And so that's that rack.
That top rack, very rhythmic, adding grit, filtering effects.
That was doing the rhythms,
samples,
yeah. And then down here it's more experimental. This is an old prototype oscillator that we're not actually going to produce. And then I had two more of these generators that are here. So I've got two here. And this was just generating random noises, really, into another VCF and another VCA, and then two analog delays that I built. They're just DIY jobs that this is going into.
I think, are they PT chip
they are,
delays?
Yeah.
that grit that they were adding in and amongst the Gristleizer was fantastic.
Yeah, and then that's just feeding into this mixer module there, and that was it, just a mono output, very TG in sort of ethos.
Yeah, so drums, rhythms and drones, it's a small setup for a big sound. The video for the performance will be live as well. We've got Finlay and Roy with us as well, all involved in the projects. I mean, together you three have brought this to the Eurorack format. Why Eurorack, I guess, to start with? Maybe this is your domain.
So we had a few questions from, should probably give a shout out here actually, Paul Burns and Jesse, this is really bad, I've forgotten his surname, but Niemanen, I think, Jesse Niemanen.
Yes,
in the States,
yeah.
that's him.
Yeah. They Noctumblance.
Yes,
that's Jesse.
Yeah. Know the Instagram name, but not the. And they pretty much said, would we kind of, would there be a Gristleizer out in Eurorack at any time soon? Endangered Audio had done theirs. And I, at the time, was speaking to Chris's manager, Paul Smith, and he put us in touch. Chris put me in touch with Roy, and then we just all started talking off the back of that, really.
Yeah. Well, these are a much expanded idea, way more than other people's remakes and the original, in terms of ins and outs.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Roy's probably the best person to speak to on that one.
Yeah.
Well, now we've got this split across several modules. Could you give us a quick rundown of what each module's doing in terms of functions and how they work together?
Yeah, the original Gristleizer was a composite thing with, which is a standalone box with a preamp going into either a filter or a VCA and an LFO. And so
super character tremolo kind of unit in a way.
So what we've done here, because we're moving into modular, it makes sense to draw a line around those functional boxes and make them into separate modules.
Of course, yeah.
So well, first of all, the filter came out, and we did the filter first. And then the VCA, instead of having it switchable, you might as well just have another module. Yeah. So then we have a VCA module. And then we were uncertain whether to carry on because LFOs are just LFOs, and the classic Gristleizer LFO isn't that exciting really. It's just a standard synthesizer 4 waveform LFO. So we tried and rejected quite a few things on the LFO and ended up here. And then shall we do a preamp? Again, there's other ways of doing preamps, other ways of getting guitar into it, but none quite like this. Because this has got a classic raunchy guitar amp sound to it, which
you could hear that grit in Chris's set as well. That it was being heavily coloured.
But it's also got precision envelope follower and envelope detector, so it's kind of a mashup of the front end of a Marshall JCM 800 and the level detectors that you need to get hold of guitar notes and separate them out.
Yeah. So everything seems really well expanded. Like you said, with the LFO, we've got the folder on there to get more interesting kinks in the waveforms for the LFOs. Same up at audio rates. Is this as far as you're going to go with this? Is this an end?
No.
Good answer. I won't pry for things you maybe don't want to talk about, but
it might be another 2.5 years, but I don't know. If you guys are game, then I'm game. Yeah.
I love the way that the character is being kind of summed. The sum of the parts is greater than any one of them, which was the original Gristleizer in a box, but with all this heavy expansion into Eurorack. So yeah, fantastic. When it's always a hard question to answer, but roughly when are we expecting these? End of the year?
So November, we're taking pre-orders now from the Future Sound Systems website. You can buy them all as individual modules. We will be doing a limited, very, very limited run of one big front panel with all the gubbins behind it. And yeah, the pre-order will run up until the 1st of November, and then in November we'll be shipping them.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much. FutureSoundSystems.com, .co.uk, sorry, FutureSoundSystems.co.uk. And yeah, check out Chris's set on the same channel. And thank you very much.